Hey, yo, man, this lawsuit is crazy. Skip Bayless was losing his mind about this lady that he could not sleep with. Now, I know on the internet, everybody's kind of making fun at Joy and pulling up like all her clips and things like that. But yo, this lawsuit is big. It's a lot of information in here. There is accusations of harassment, racial discrimination, a lot of employee legal things that's going on. This is bigger than Joy Taylor and Skip Bayless. This is a symptom of the things that go on in corporate America with powerful people, not just men and women, and how HR will turn a blind eye to the stuff that they know that's going on because HR is there to protect the business, not you. So, Skip Bayless and other Fox employees have been sued by a former hairstylist by the name of Noushin Faraji, and this lawsuit is massive. I've read all 40 pages, and I'm going to break it down and organize it in a way so you can understand what's going on here, because how they wrote it up was very complicated. We was all over the place. But I think I got it broken down in a way that we all can kind of follow. Because as I'm reading the lawsuit, it's so many twists and turns and involves so many people. It's wild. So first, we're going to talk about her issues with Joy. Then we'll talk about her issues with Skip Bayless. And then we'll get into some of the other little random things that happen on the job and the reason why she's suing. So this is a class action style lawsuit with other accusers involved, as well as she's suing people as an individual. So here's the background information. Miss Faraji started working with Fox as a part-time employee hairstylist, okay? Starting off, things were already a little weird because they wanted her to bring her own supplies and they didn't want to finance anything for her. Now, this is odd because if you hire me as a hairstylist, when I get to set, everything should be there for me. I shouldn't be bringing in my own outside supplies to handle the talent's hair. They pretty much told her, once you've been here for about 7 years, then we'll give you a kit fee so you can cover your supplies. But until then, yeah, you got to bring your own stuff in. So that's a little red flag. So she came in as a hairstylist, and they eventually wanted her to do hair and be a barber as well and cut hair. And she was like, I wasn't hired on as a barber. Now, for me, I think it all goes together. If I hire you as a cosmetologist, you should have the ability to barber and cut hair if need be. But I understand her not wanting that dual responsibility because it is a different skill set. She said she talked to her union about being tasked with barbering, and they said, listen, just do it. Don't be difficult. Do what you got to do so you can keep your job. She eventually was hired on as a full-time hairstylist, and this is when she met Joy. She said Joy was new to LA and she was trying to find some airtime on Fox. Joy would fill in whenever talent got sick or they had to be out. She said after hanging out with Joy, she found out that Joy was married, but she was kind of lonely being out here in LA because her husband stayed back home in Miami. She said one night they went out for drinks and Joy showed up with an older man named Mr. Dixon. She didn't know who Mr. Dixon was at the time, but she later found out that he was the VP of content over at Fox. She said she asked Joy who he was, and Joy was like, girl, he's just a friend. She said Mr. Dixon was always generous with money, buying everybody drinks and food. Every time they went out, he kind of handled everything. She said from Joy and his body language, she felt like they was intimate with each other, but she didn't say too much about it because she knew that Joy was married. She said a few months later, she saw Mr. Dixon in the building, so she ran over to Joy like, girl, I just saw your friend here who be buying all the drinks. And Joy was like, girl, shh. He's like a VP here. Just be cool. And she was like, Joy, girl, that man is married. You need to be careful. And Joy was like, girl, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. So a few months later, she found out that Skip and Shannon was getting their own show, and they were looking for an experienced woman to moderate the show. And she was surprised that Joy got the position because Joy came from Miami and used to be a bartender and a radio host and didn't have much experience moderating or dealing with sports on a show with a massive scale like that. See, it sound like you hating on Joy, okay? Don't hate. It takes a lot of moderation to be a bartender, okay? Joy had transferable skills. That's how she got the job. So she slick, kind of side-eyeing everything like, girl, how you get this position? She hating a little bit. She said that Skip told her that he didn't want Joy working on the show, but he only did it because Mr. Dixon essentially said, hey, Skip, do it as a favor. Let her be on the show. All right, so she's setting the foundation that Joy essentially got this job because she was cool or intimate with Mr. Dixon. This is the framework for the whole lawsuit. She said a month or so later, she went out to dinner with Joy and her husband and Mr. Dixon and his wife. And she said that Joy's husband was acting suspicious as if he knew something was going on with Joy and Mr. Dixon. And he eventually found out and divorced Joy due to infidelity. She telling all their business, okay? She said a few months later, Fox had a party for all the employees, and she was there, and Mr. Dixon essentially tried to flirt with her and feel on her, and she felt violated, so she ran and told Joy about it. Joy told her, girl, get over it. It ain't that deep. That's just Mr. Dixon. He's the reason I have a job, and he's also the reason you have a job because I requested you specifically, so just chill out because he can take both of our jobs. Now, she was shocked that Joy would say that, so she ran and told another coworker, and the coworker was like, girl, just chill out. That's just Mr. Dixon. He tries all the women here. Just leave it alone. This is just the culture here at Fox. Fast forward several years in the future, the hairstylist is doing a former employee's hair, and the employee essentially was like, girl, you know, I got fired because I wouldn't sleep with Mr. Dixon. The hairstylist told Joy again what she had heard, and Joy was like, girl, don't nobody care. Let it go. See, this is where the stylist is messing up. Why you keep telling Joy about her sugar daddy? I mean, what you want her to do? I ain't saying it's right. I ain't saying what Mr. Dixon is doing right, but what do you want Joy to do? All right, in February of 2020, Joy invited the hairstylist to lunch where she introduced her to Emmanuel Acho. Clearly a romantic interest. Months later, she noticed Emmanuel at the job and learned from Joy that he worked at Fox too and might recommend her for his show. The stylist pretty much warned Joy, like, girl, be careful, you know, messing with Emmanuel and Mr. Dixon, saying that Mr. Dixon could retaliate. Joy kind of shrugged it off like, girl, if Mr. Dixon try me, I'm going to just say he sexually harassed me and everything going to be cool. He ain't got no power over me no more. And guess what? Yeah, Joy ended up getting on that show with Emmanuel Acho. Yeah, Joy got the job. She said over time, Joy and her would eventually not be friends anymore. Joy would mock her English and say that she eventually just needed a black hairstylist. So she goes to HR, and HR is pretty much like, do you still want to work here? And she was like, yeah, I want to work. And she was like, well, if you want to work, just leave Joy alone. Let Joy have her black hairstylist and you still come to set and do your job. So she wasn't doing Joy's hair anymore, but she would still come in and work from like 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. But she was told that nobody wanted her to do their hair. So she asked HR like, yo, what's going on? And HR pretty much said, girl, you keep reporting people and they don't want to be around you. So even though she was on set, she wasn't going up doing people's hair. So people was like, hey, like, why you not doing our touch-ups anymore? Like, what's going on? And she was like, I thought you guys ain't want to do y'all hair anymore. So I just kind of backed off. So she said at this point, she felt like HR retaliated against her for reporting Joy, and they pretty much made up lies saying, hey, nobody wants you to do their hair anymore. But the people is like, yeah, we still need our touch-ups. What's going on? So by this time, the hairstylist is now doing Skip's hair, and he's requesting that she does it more frequently. At first, the conversation would just be about like life and work, and over time, he would eventually find ways to touch on the stylist. He would hug on her for longer periods when she finished with his hair. He would kiss her on the cheek, and she ain't like all that. She wasn't down with. He would eventually become more and more aggressive, trying to flirt with her, and she was like, yo, Skip, I don't date coworkers. I need my job. I'm a single mom. Please stop. She said over time, Skip would make more and more advances saying, yo, I could change your life. I just want to be intimate with you. By then, she eventually, started having some issues with her ovaries, and she told Skip, like, hey, I might have cancer. She was hoping, if I tell him this, maybe that'll slow him down. But that ain't stop it. Nope. She said he got worse. He said he grabbed her hand, began kissing it, and was like, yo, I give you $1.5 million. Come on, let's just try it. She was like, Skip, please stop. Don't you have a wife? Skip said, ain't you Muslim? Don't your daddy got like 3 or 4 wives? She was like, Skip, bro, my dad did. Yo, Skip is wild for that comment. I could hear Skip saying something like that. I can hear Skip saying like, aren't you Muslim? Isn't that what you guys do? He be saying wild stuff. All right, so we're fast forwarding to like the year 2022. And she said, Skip, started to act distant with her and didn't want her to do his hair as much, and she felt like her job was in danger. So she asked him, like, yo, what's going on? And he pretty much threatened her, like, yo, I knew you was sleeping with Shannon Sharp. And she was like, I've never slept with a coworker. Child, over the months, she said his behavior would be more and more jealous. He would text her and call her and accuse her of sleeping with Shannon. Skip said, I knew you was sleeping with Shannon due to your body language. And she was like, yo, I'm not sleeping with Shannon Sharp. Man, this lawsuit is crazy. Everybody is catching strays. She said she set her camera up to record one of her interactions with Skip. And when he walked into the room to get his hair done, she said Skip was like, yo, this room is bugged. He then began to accuse her of sleeping with Shannon again. She said, I do not have a relationship with Shannon. And said he was like, I can't believe you. You sleeping with my arch nemesis. I call bullshit. You know what you're doing. I've loved you for over 6 years. How could you do this to me? Skip was crashing out over a woman. He never even got close to sleeping with her, and he was losing it. Now, mind you, over all these years, she's telling her therapist this information. Now, in the past, sometimes she would go to Skip's house to do his hair if his wife was present. She says Skip called her this one time and was like, hey, can you come over? Her therapist told her, you have to put that boundary up and not go to his house anymore. So she told him, like, yo, I can't come to your house to do your hair anymore. And when she said that, she constantly kind of remained on edge, and she had fear of retaliation for declining to come to his house. So everything on set was a little weird. Skip was acting distant, and she eventually found out that Mr. Dixon told Skip that she was sleeping with Shannon. Skip pretty much called her and was like, yo, Mr. Dixon is the one who told me. I'm sorry for crashing out, but I'm in love with you. They want to fire you, but I'm trying to help you keep your job. You already not doing Joy's hair, so please be intimate with me. He's like, I've loved you for all these years while working here. She was like, Skip, no, not gonna do it, Skip. So Skip eventually leaves Fox. She's not doing Joy's hair anymore, so she feels like, all right, now my job is really in danger. And she was right, because eventually she was let go. They said they just did not have the budget for a hairstylist anymore. Now, mind you, this lawsuit is more than just harassment from Skip. There are some employment issues in here as well. She said back in 2018, she had surgery on her back and had to take some time off. And when she returned, they had cut her hours. So she went to HR and was like, yo, why y'all cut my hours? Like, what's going on? And she eventually got her hours back. But people are now starting to talk and say, like, yo, she goes to HR for everything. She's always complaining. There was another incident with this guy, Mr. Diaz. He's the one responsible for putting the microphones on the set. And she said that he would often pick on her because English was not her first language. He would also grope and harass and be inappropriate with other women at Fox as well. She believed he never got in trouble because he supplied all the employees with party favors, some Snow White nose candy. She said, yeah, he was the dope man. She said Mr. Diaz was so wild, he took his pants off on camera and nobody did anything. They just let him get away with whatever he wanted to do. And he was just the microphone man to put the microphone on. So she dealt with racial discrimination and inappropriate actions from him. And then another employee who worked at Fox also called her and a Black employee racial slurs. She reported this to HR. This other employee started to become more erratic and volatile. So the hairstylist went back to HR yo, she's getting even more crazier. And HR was like, yo, just stay out of the way when she's having these episodes. She said the woman did eventually get fired, but the hairstylist heard that the woman got a nice little severance pay to leave the company. And so the hairstylist felt some kind of way yo, she's been bullying me all this time and y'all pay her to leave. So yeah, man, that's just the gist of the lawsuit. It's actually a lot more stuff in here, but that's kind of the meat and potatoes with it. So it's essentially about her issues with Joy, possible racial discrimination, other employees being completely improper with her, being sexually harassed by Skip and Mr. Dixon. Yo, this lawsuit is crazy. But she said Shannon and Colin, she had no problems with them. They was always good folks. All right. So do y'all believe the woman? Or do you feel like she's just a drama queen, always going to HR reporting stuff? Or do you think this is just the culture of corporate America and people with power? Leave your comments below. Thanks for hanging out with me. Peace.